Welcome to the bench of D-Lab. Today I've got a cool Harmony model H-303A amplifier in for inspection and repair. Let's take a look and see what it needs. So the cabinet is in beautiful condition. I understand that these were built in the early 60s. This one has survived. Let's take a look around the back. Here's the chassis. It runs a 35W4, 50C5, and a 12AU6. You can see the old vintage filter cap in the background. Beautiful Jensen speaker. Control panel is in nice shape. Power cord has been replaced. Obviously we want to put something a little bit nicer in its place. So if you look up inside the cabinet, there is the schematic and parts list. How cool is that? Now I'm going to pull the chassis out, but before you do that, you need to desolder the speaker terminals because they didn't have a plug-in jack. Take out these two screws, the chassis should slide right up. So I was wrong, there was actually 4 screws. But here comes the chassis. You're seeing this as I see it. Just a little bit dusty on top. It's in really great shape. And there's the bottom side. Not much going on there, is there? Well, here's the bottom side of the amp. Got 3 input jacks. You can see we got a few paper caps in there. Main filter caps here. Output transformer. The volume control with a switch on the rear. Here is the power transformer. First thing you'll spot is that there is no fuse on this unit. So we're going to be adding that. This power cord I do not believe is original. But if you look, there is the rubber grommet that used to be in that hole. I will be installing a new power cord with a proper restraint. So before we go any further, I'm going to hook this up to a variac and a speaker. And we're going to make sure that this thing operates, then I'll move forward with the repairs. I've talked to the owner. He wants it completely recapped. We're going to add a fuse holder. We're going to put a new line cord on. He wants a power jewel. So that will be added to the front panel near the power cord. Also, he would like a way to connect an external speaker, so I'm going to add a jack, which would be on the bracket on top of the chassis. I got the amp powered up on a variac. There's no hum, but there sure is a lot of noise when you bring up the volume control. Oh yeah. Either a dirty tube socket or a microphonic tube. But the amp is operating. And it's fairly quiet. Whoa! Okay. Let's power it down and take care of some of these issues. I'm going to start by changing out the main filter cap. The owner wants new caps strapped underneath and leave the original in place for cosmetics. Then I'm going to go over here and get a fuse holder installed and take care of this line cord. I've got the new line cord connected and an inline fuse holder. Next I'm going to be adding a dial lamp. He wants one right next to the power cord. Now in this model there is no 6-volt AC available for a standard dial lamp, so I'm going to have to use a neon. Well, here's a quick check of the new neon. Looks pretty slick. New filter caps are installed and they're glued to the chassis so they won't vibrate. And I need to change out these paper caps and that little electrolytic. So now I'm installing an external speaker jack. So when he plugs in the external, it'll shut off the internal speaker. It's going to have to go on the chassis because this pressboard material won't hold screws. It would just tear right out of it. Okay, we're going to give this thing a little test. Right now we're using the internal speaker. Then I'm going to connect the external, which will shut off the internal speaker. So that's working well. Plug in the external. So a little external speaker jack. It's going to work out great. So I talked to the customer. recommended that we change out these input jacks. They're old, corroded. This amp deserves a nice set of switchcrafts. Alright, I'm testing the amp and I'm hearing a low level hum. The power supply on this thing was not very robust. Take a look at the ripple and listen to the speaker. You can hear that low level hum. It's kind of irritating. I'm going to try to install a choke in the power supply and see if we can eliminate that noise. I've added a choke to the Harmony in a Pi configuration on the power supply. Take a look at the hum now and listen to the speaker. Not a wisp of noise. Talked to the customer, he said add it. So I'm going to do that and we'll retest. Power supply update is complete. Here is the mercury choke. It's about 3.5 Henrys. So we come off the rectifier tube, hit the first filter cap, go through the choke, another filter cap, and that's where the primary of the output transformer goes. From there it goes through the screen resistor and you have the third 47 microfarad cap. Now this amp is as quiet as can be. So I've read there is some controversy about pin 1 of the 50C1. What should you see across the bias resistor? In this case I've got 7.56 volts. Comes up to approximately 42 milliamps. Everything fell right in place for the Harmony H-303A new input jacks. They used all 47 microfarad at 350 volt caps, and now we are fused at half amp to protect the power transformer. Well, here's a wrap up of the Harmony H-303A. Replaced the input jacks, recapped the unit as well as the main filter caps, and now we've upgraded the power supply with the choke to ensure that it's dead quiet. It's on right now. There's no hum from that power supply. Installed a 3-prong grounded cord and a neon lamp. Have a external speaker jack now, which when you plug in your external, it will shut off the internal. So that was a fun repair. A little more involved than what I expected. But the power supply issue was interesting, and you got to see how I resolved that, and now you can do it yourself if you need to. While I was performing this repair, I was sending emails and videos to the customer so he could see these things firsthand and why they needed to be corrected. This is how D-Lab always operates. I try to stay in constant contact and keep you informed. So D-Lab is a one-man show. Everything is conducted on a gentleman's agreement. There's no fancy paperwork. But I can tell you one thing, you can trust me to do a good job on your repairs, and it will be honest work. Contact me if you need something done. Looks pretty slick.